Welcome back to Crazy Brave Homeschool. My name is Ashley, and if you're new here, I'm a homeschool mom to a rising third grader and rising kindergartner. And in our homeschool, we are very Charlotte Mason inspired, but also very eclectic, pulling in methodologies from both classical and Waldorf pedagogies. So based on the thumbnail of this video, no doubt you are here to find out why we will not be moving forward with All About Reading or Math with Confidence. I'm gonna start with All About Reading for this video. I feel like I'm stepping into this cautiously and with a little hesitation because if you have followed our reading phonics journey at all over the last couple of years, you will know by now that I literally will dip my toes into All About Reading or saying that we're going to do All About Reading, and then I will find something else and step back, and then I'll do it again, and then I'll step back and I'll do it again. Like this, I am such a broken record, you guys. I really apologize for that, but hey, this is such a common part of a homeschool journey, I think, for a lot of families, especially in the early years when you are just really trying to solidify your own principles and teaching styles and learning styles for your kids. And so I think that there's a lot of back and forth in the beginning, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of insecurity, a lot of fear. And I will say too, if you consume YouTube content, there is a lot of influence with what other homeschoolers are using. And I want to talk about that too, as I kind of get into why I am yet again stepping away from All About Reading. So without giving you too much of a backstory at all, because I do have so many videos on my rising third graders reading journey, but we had started with a Charlotte Mason approach in first grade, and we really used that approach for the majority of first grade. I did a lot of research, I did what I thought was a lot of research into the Charlotte Mason method back then. I really fell in love with it. It spoke to me greatly, and so we tried it. I had also, pressured my daughter to get to a certain point by the end of first grade because we had a late start into phonics. And that was definitely not wise on my part. She was progressing at a perfectly normal rate, but I just really wanted her to get to a certain point with our charter school expectations. And then over the summer, towards the end of first grade, I really kind of realized that the Charlotte Mason approach wasn't giving me the results that I wanted to see. And so we dabbled in Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. And then over the summer, we did Treasure Hunt Reading, which is Orton Gillingham approach, an online free phonics program. And then when we started second grade, Treasure Hunt Reading was just going downhill. It was going way too fast for her. And that's when I was like, okay, I think I'm finally ready to get this program that everybody seems to use, which is All About Reading. I was just about to get All About Reading 1 just to do some really good review with her because she just needed it. And then that's when I found the McGuffey Reader and that whole approach to teaching language arts with just one book. It was really taking me back to the Charlotte Mason methodology, which was heavy on sight, light on phonics. But my daughter was still not really advancing how I felt that she should be, or I just wasn't seeing that click happen that I kept hearing people talk about. And now we were a year and a half into our reading journey. And but needless to say, I did the McGuffey approach. I really, really liked it. I did that for a few months. But I saw that her phonics were just not strong enough and she wasn't learning enough rules to progress. And that's when I found Foundational Phonics Book 2, which has a very Charlotte Mason aesthetic, but it has the phonics repetition and consonant blends and vowel teams and all of that stuff that you need to learn how to read, right? And so we did most of that program. It went really well, but then we got to the end of second grade, and while she had made a lot of great progress, she, again, it was she was stumbling over, what should have been simple words for her because, again, she hadn't really learned those rules. And so I said, okay, at the end of second grade, we're going to start All About Reading Level 2 just to give her some good review. And we did, at the very end of second grade, we did maybe like 8 lessons out of this before we took a break for summer, just a short break. We did 5 weeks off. And then my plan was to come back to this late June for our summer school, which we're doing for 4 weeks throughout July. But during the summer break, the 5-week summer break, my daughter, her reading clicked. Something happened. Well, she was really motivated by a reading challenge that I did. And she started consuming books, picture books, and easy reader chapter books like Magic Tree House. Her reading really like clicked overnight, and I was just seeing this like magic unfold before my eyes. And but I still felt like, okay, I still like, my whole plan was to do All About Reading Level 3 and All About Reading Level 1 with 3 with my daughter, 1 with my rising kindergartner. And that's what we were going to do for the school year moving forward. But I figured, hey, for the 4 weeks of summer school, even though her reading has like really advanced, I still think it would be good for her to learn more phonics rules out of this level. So we started our summer school last week, was our first week. My daughter, from the few lessons that she did in All About Reading, she liked it. She liked the sticker at the end. She didn't mind the activities. It was also easy for her because it was all review. And even though, like, to me, there are so many sections to a lesson in this program, which normally would really aggravate her, she just really wants to, like, get through her schooling. It was easy for her, because it was review. So she didn't push back too much. So when we came back to it last week, I was thinking, this will go well. And the fact is, it did. It was fine. We did a couple more lessons. But something was just inside of me was pushing back on this program. It might have been when we pulled out the paper hammer that you're supposed to smack the hard C words with, and then the paper feather you're supposed to tickle the soft C words with. Coming from more of a Charlotte Mason, style of teaching in a lot of our subjects, I was just looking at these lessons and just kind of cringing. Like, this is not how I want to teach my daughter how to read. I don't want to take a paper hammer that's like flopping over as she's smacking a hard C word. I hate that stuff. I'm a lover of beautiful literature, of poetry, and this is why the McGuffey spoke so much to me, was like teaching her how to read, just using like lovely, wholesome literature. And she was fine with it. She thought it was kind of stupid, but she was like, okay, smack the hard C, tickle the soft C, and whatever. I think that this is a great program. Like, I totally get why families love this, why it works. It gets the job done. I don't want teaching reading to just get the job done. And like, maybe in the past I would have been like, yes, just please just get us there. Like, I just want to see the finish line and be done with this because it's so tough, and it was so tough. But now that she has turned a new leaf with her reading, I'm realizing that we did it. Like, even though I did bring in some of these more traditional programs once in a while, overall, I really feel in my heart that it was our Charlotte Mason approach to teaching her how to read that ultimately got her there. Like, that McGuffey primer taught my kid how to read. And now that she is reading, the idea of moving into All About Reading Level 3 with the readers and the activities and the fluency sheets, that was another thing. Our last lesson we did with All About Reading, she was reading the fluency sheets, and it's like the phrases. I don't have all this stuff with me, but if you're familiar with All About Reading, you just read these phrases. They're not complete sentences, to just like reinforce the rule that the kid is learning that day. She just like the phrase, she was just like, why am I reading these? Like they're just disjointed. There's no beautiful language there to interest the child. It's just rote memorization, drilling, work, get these phonics in so that you can then read interesting literature. And this is where Charlotte Mason is totally flip-flopped. She believes that, yes, there has to be the letter sounds and phonics instruction in the beginning, but only to a certain degree. You really are not learning all or even most of the phonics rules before the child starts reading interesting literature. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But you learn the interesting words and the phonics rules after. And that is what keeps a child interested and engaged and excited about reading. So I know that might not make sense to a lot of people, but the way that Charlotte Mason has broken it down, and I have been revisiting a lot of her writing, and it has really helped me understand better, so much better, her principles with teaching reading than I understood 2 years ago. So needless to say, because she is reading well now, I would so much rather take her into reading lessons that are really enjoyable for the two of us and get us back to those principles that are most important to me, which is beautiful language, beautiful literature that is really taught in a more holistic approach, which is like this kind of all-in-one language arts approach that I was really enjoying with the McGuffey reader. I'm not going to be using the McGuffey, actually. My daughter has expressed to me that the second McGuffey reader that we started is just not exciting enough for her. She wants more adventure. And I totally understand that, and that is fine. And that is what is such a beautiful thing about the Charlotte Mason approach, is that I can choose any book that I really like, and we can do a reading lesson with that. So I'm going to actually be doing a 3-part kind of series to this new plan. There's going to be this video, and then the second one will be how I am teaching my daughter reading using the Charlotte Mason method. And then I'm going to do a third video, how I am teaching my son to read using the Charlotte Mason method, which is an entirely different system for a kindergartner versus a third grader. But just to give you guys a little inkling into what I'm doing with my daughter. So we did a couple lessons out of this last week before I was just like, I can't do it. Like, this is going to kill me. This is going to strip me of my soul. And it's not happening. So then we did a couple lessons using the Charlotte Mason method. I went to my bookcase, I looked around, and I pulled out Robert Louis Stevenson's A Child's Garden of Verses, which I had actually planned to read to my son, which I still plan to do. But these poems are a really perfect kind of way to get us going with the Charlotte Mason method of reading with my daughter. And so we're using that. We're doing reading lessons with that, my plan, every other day. And then on the every other day, the off day from that day, we are going to be doing just read aloud with Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales. And then I got to start coming up with some other book ideas too to take us through the year with this new reading plan. But I will be giving you guys a lot more information on how I'm going about these reading lessons with her in my next video. So I want to talk a little bit real quick about why I've decided not to do All About Reading 1 with my son moving forward. And I think that this was a scarier decision because deciding not to do All About Reading Level 3 with my third grader, who is now reading really well, feels safer, right? It kind of feels like, okay, well, it was a long road, but we did get there. She's doing really well. Now, yeah, maybe I have a little bit more freedom and confidence to go about reading how I want to do it. My son hasn't learned to read yet. And so this is where it feels a little scarier because I am slightly traumatized from teaching my daughter to read. And just yeah, like how much work it was. But we also flip-flopped different programs so often that now that I see and now that I deeply feel that the Charlotte Mason approach is what took my daughter into reading, I do feel more confident falling back on that for my son and for my plans moving forward. He's got a few things to work with here. And here's the thing. Even though we did the All About Reading pre-reading, which he really liked, we did that last year. And even though that did teach him his letters and a lot of his sounds, he is not ready to start blending yet. So I moved him from pre-reading into Foundational Phonics Book 1, which is Letter Mastery. I think it's called that. And we are like about a sixth of the way into that program. And it takes you into, it gets a lot of reinforcement with letter sounds. It actually is kind of like a fancier Explode the Code. It's a lot of the same activities, but more in like a Charlotte Mason aesthetic. But anyway, it took you into blending pretty quick into Foundational Phonics Book 1. And even though it's simple, like ram, rat, cat, whatever, he is not showing a lot of readiness for it. For a couple of days, I set aside Foundational Phonics. We played some letter sound games. I have a lot of reading resources now after everything we've been through, so I have a lot of supplements to fall back on with him right now. But we did some letter sound games. We did he's still finishing Explode the Code Book C. And then I did pull out my Montessori Pink series, which I only used a little bit of with my daughter 2 years ago. But I have everything for it. It's a great series. And it's all about word building. So Montessori and Charlotte Mason are really not that far off from each other at all. And so I pulled out some of the easy blending activities for with cat and bat, rat, mat, whatever. And this is really where Charlotte Mason suggests you start when you start building words. Start with the AT and then do word families. So she is a believer in phonics. But he, like, even though he could read it and he could actually build on to at, his interest isn't there yet. And I don't want that to be confused with like disobedience or defiance. I mean, there is a degree of defiance in like just being stubborn, right? And there will come a time with his formal lessons that I will insist that we do a lesson, the lesson that I have planned, but he's only 5. And if I'm going to follow the Charlotte Mason methodology, she highly suggests to start, get your letters and your sounds down as early as 2, like as early as the child is ready. Learn your letters and sounds. Stay there until the child is 6. The reading lessons really shouldn't start until the child is 6, unless there is like serious motivation, to start earlier. And he is not showing that yet. So we have some time. He's not going to be 6 until November. He's starting his kindergarten year this year. I am going to, my plan for this summer and into the beginning part of the school year, just to give you that loose plan, is that we're going to stick with letter sounds. There's still plenty of letter sounds he hasn't learned. He hasn't solidified his long vowels. He hasn't learned all the sounds of Y. He hasn't learned different sounds of S. But anyway, there is a lot of work to be done before we should really start blending. And so we do have some time. I may every week kind of bring back a little bit of blending with the Pink series just to see if that week maybe he's a little bit more interested. But in the meantime, there are plenty of activities that I can do to start to hopefully light a fire with his interest in learning how to read. This is getting really long. I was kind of planning, and I want to talk about Math with Confidence. I was kind of planning on going through a bit more of the Charlotte Mason principles, but I think I'm going to save this for when we do my daughter's video next on my plan for teaching her reading. I have started going through what I have at home with these Charlotte Mason resources. And the thing that has probably been most helpful is on Ambleside Online there, and I've had this sitting in my email inbox for several months. I finally printed it out. It's a 24-page multi-blog post written by a woman, and they published this on Ambleside Online for parents needing Charlotte Mason reading resources. And reading through this has really helped me understand better her methodology, how she was a proponent of phonics, definitely, but how there is more of an emphasis on sight word instruction. And this, I'm excited to kind of go through this with you guys in my next video and read you guys some of her quotes and just to maybe help you guys understand a little bit more why I have decided to take us back to Charlotte Mason reading. Okay, so I want to hit Math with Confidence. We have actually had a lot of luck with math in our homeschool. I used Right Start Mathematics with my daughter, first grade and second grade, and then I also in the first grade used Simply Charlotte Mason Arithmetic Book 1. I used that in tandem with Right Start, and it worked out really well. And then for second grade, I only used Right Start Level B. As we were planning for third grade for her, I really just didn't love Book C. It was the first 30 lessons were too much review because she's pretty strong in math. And then it wasn't getting into enough multiplication and division like I want her to do in third grade. The only thing that I needed was for her to solidify her subtraction facts. And so I essentially decided to use our summer school to solidify a lot of subtraction. And then my plan for third grade math was still up in the air. I was thinking I would go with Math with Confidence Level 3. And the reason I was thinking that was because it's very similar to Right Start in the way that it's structured, which is lesson, game, workbook. Even though with Right Start, there are definitely far fewer workbook pages. And my daughter really likes the games that are with Right Start. And I love the manipulatives. For the first 2 years of my daughter's math education, I was so grateful for how hands-on Right Start was. And I figured, well, if we need a change, if we need something new, Math with Confidence looks pretty perfect because it seems really similar to what we were doing with Right Start. And then I was thinking, well, Math with Confidence 1, I think would be really great for my son. He's actually done several of the workbook pages out of Math with Confidence 1 because I got it for him in TK just to give him some math to work on. He's also really great with math. And he liked those workbook pages. He also really loves games and he likes math games. And I thought, okay, this is perfect. Well, we're going to do Math with Confidence. So I decided to try it out to solidify her subtraction. And I got Math with Confidence second grade. So during, let's see, we actually started a couple of these lessons at the end of second grade just to see how we liked it before we started our little 5-week summer break. I at first, and I really I was really reading through a lot of this. I was picking the lessons that made the most sense for her since I knew we were going to do this whole thing. And oh man, it is definitely a different program than Right Start. Just getting used to a whole new teacher's guide, especially at the end of the school year, was a little overwhelming. And then on top of all of the Blackline Master printouts, I was consuming a lot of YouTube videos on Math with Confidence too. It'll be okay, well, I need to put this whole thing together. I need to print out these Blackline Masters, get a binder for them, put together our math box, which we had a lot of the manipulatives anyway from Right Start. So I put together this Math with Confidence box, the binder. I picked out the lessons we were going to do with this. I had everything ready to go. I will say, just right off the bat, this hurts my brain. I know that maybe some of you might think, well, but you liked Right Start? Right Start's teacher guide was very straightforward. It is black and white, very boring, but it is only 2 pages that you see right when you open the book, right? So the first page is on the left side, the other page is on the right side. So I like that when you open the book, you see the whole lesson. There is not like flipping pages for one lesson, like just like, I don't know. I know it's not like necessarily more teaching. I guess I'm just saying strictly format. I don't like the way that the teacher guide is formatted. This black line down the middle, what is this? This just like, it just bothers me. And I'm not saying this is why we're not doing the program. I'm just telling you some of the things I don't like from my first impression. What is with that black line? As I did the first lesson with my daughter, immediately she was not into it. And I felt that the flow of the lesson felt a little disjointed. And this also in large part could be because it's just a new program for us. And so it would take time for me to get used to the flow of the program. It didn't happen with Right Start. With Right Start, I was a brand new homeschool parent. And I was like coming off of the unschooling mindset too. Okay, so I just lost 15 minutes of footage shooting the last 15 minutes of my video. Oh my gosh. And it was so good. Dang it. Okay. I gotta like figure out where I just was, and so I can try to remember like what I was even saying. Okay. You guys, I don't even know if I can like remember where I went with the last 15 minutes that were just cut. But we're talking about starting Math with Confidence with my daughter. We did the first couple lessons. Okay, there's something about just like the rhythm of the lesson that felt a little disjointed to me. So the structure of Math with Confidence is really similar to Right Start in that you have your lesson and then you have your game and then you have your workbook. So like my daughter is used to that. But she also likes her math to be super straightforward. And that was one thing that we struggled with Right Start, that it just kind of like kept going, right? Especially if she understood the concept, it was frustrating to her to have to be so hands-on with the manipulatives all the time. Okay, so I just remembered like something that was really hard for me with the couple lessons we did with Math with Confidence. I got everything organized. I got the Blackline Masters all printed out and put into a binder. So I like put all this stuff together. And then on the first lesson with Math with Confidence, I think I had to get like 3 Blackline Masters plus some manipulatives. And there was something about having to use these paper manipulatives, even if it's on cardstock, that was really bugging me. I never had to use anything like that with Right Start. The Right Start manipulatives to me just felt very well crafted, very intentional, high quality. And I get with Math with Confidence, they're trying to save you money so you can put your own stuff together. And I totally respect and appreciate that. But pulling out these cardstock papers to do lessons with, the whole thing just kind of felt sort of flimsy. And then doing the games too, like she liked the game, but like the fact that the game is in the book, it's on paper, like the board game, and then you're like using these little pawns or whatever in the book felt flimsy to me. I didn't really like that setup. It sort of reminded me of, kind of brought me back to like the paper hammer where you're smacking the hard C. I'm just like, I just don't like that. That doesn't feel, that doesn't feel quality to me. I also hated that with the directions, with the Math with Confidence games, you were given the directions once. It's in the workbook, on a workbook page that the kid is supposed to be doing her work on. So if you want to come back to those directions, when they say come back to that game, you have to make a copy of them and put them in a binder, like all of the different directions to each game. Otherwise, you have to flip back through the workbook to find the directions. Anyone who is familiar with Math with Confidence knows what I'm talking about. That was very disjointed. I don't like having to flip back and forth like that. You can make tabs in the book. Like you can make it more streamlined for yourself, fine. So I don't know if I just mentioned this in the part that didn't get cut out, but the first lesson just didn't go great. My daughter was immediately annoyed. And that's not a good sign. Like we were starting a new math program that looked fun, and she just kind of immediately was pushing back on it. because I think to her it just looked like more stuff that she was going to have to use. And I, reading the lessons, which just felt like the flow wasn't awesome. I know that I would just have to get used to it, and that's fine. But there's something about Right Start where even as a brand new homeschooler, when I started using it, the flow was so concise and straightforward. It was so scripted that it just wasn't so much of this. This is a lot of writing on the page. I know that not every page looks like this. And I know a lot of people think that this is straightforward enough, but this is just too much. Right Start is way more minimal, and I feel like it's just way more intentional in the way that it guides the parent and the student through the lesson. It's just smart. It's very smart and very straightforward. So this to me felt like way too much writing on the page for the lessons. My daughter is really getting to a point where she just wants to do her math and be done with it. She likes the games. So I think that that's always going to be something that I'll incorporate with math. But this was not resonating with us. We only did 2 lessons out of it. We could have given it a better shot, absolutely. But immediately this was not speaking to my soul or my teaching style. The thing that really tipped me off was the number machine that I had to make out of paper and draw a number machine with gears and colors and the buttons and everything, and then feed a number through it, and then have another strip of paper that comes out the other side that has broken the number up. Or maybe you start with it broken up and then it shows you the whole number or the whole equation or whatever. I don't need a paper number machine with flimsy little manipulatives to teach a concept to my child. I think that this can be done verbally with intention, and I don't need the bells and whistles. Maybe for some kids, the bells and the whistles are what really drive the concept home, but for my daughter, it's extra and it's annoying. And even if it brings her a little joy for a second because it's kind of quirky, it's not like making the math easier for her. So needless to say, it's just not going to work. Level 3. Now, when I think about my son, I have considered that level 1 would be a good fit for him because he's still young and because the Right Start level A lessons were not resonating with him as much as I had hoped they would. What I have concluded, though, is that it's not because he doesn't like Right Start. It's because he was too young to be sitting for formal lessons. He was only 4 going on 5. Now, I can give the kid a workbook, and he's good with math, and he can, do some equations. But it was just too formal for him. And so while I do think that the graphics and stuff out of this is fun for a child, especially a kindergartner, I think that there is more intention behind Right Start. I think it is a very intelligent, well-crafted program that I have a lot of respect for. And bringing my daughter through level A and level B was so great for her number sense that is what I want to do with my son. I have decided now I'll give my curriculum reveal for math. For my son, we're going to be doing Right Start level A. We may finish the Good and the Beautiful level K if he's not quite ready for the formal lessons yet, because it's just workbook style. I don't like that program at all. I think it's all fluff. But for a young child with the graphics and where he's at and with his maturity, I think we might continue some of those lessons. But ideally, I'll be taking him through Right Start level A and level B at the minimum. We may continue on with Right Start through the years with him, I'm not sure. But with my daughter, because she has really showing me that she's moving beyond needing the manipulatives, I have decided, and this is kind of a shock because this program wasn't really on my radar, I'm actually going to be going with Math Mammoth level 3 for my daughter. We have been doing it for the last week in our summer school. And while it's not like she loves it, it's not like she's stoked to sit down with pencil to paper, which is what this program really mostly is. They are very short lessons, and it's straight to the point. I think that the lessons are really well crafted. It is very intelligent. This is the way that we do math as you get older. This is how you solve your equations. You don't use manipulatives anymore or paper things. And so this is going to be perfect for her moving forward. I got Poppy here because she's frustrated because I have been in here a long time since I lost all that footage. Okay, so I think that this is going to work really well for her because it's going to just be straightforward, which is the way that she likes her lessons. But there are some great resources that come with Math Mammoth, which are video lessons from Dr. Maria. Gosh, I'm totally forgetting her last name. Sorry, the program is new for us. But she has video lessons that I'm actually going to dabble in next week as some review, just to like help get the concept ingrained if the teacher is having a hard time verbalizing the lesson.
You're talking about the...
And so I love that there's video lessons. That's fantastic. And then she does have game recommendations for each chapter. So she has card game recommendations. We can use our Right Start manipulatives for that. So that's going to be great. I think that her resources are just fantastic. She has a whole YouTube channel. Okay, so anyway, I'm excited for Math Mammoth 3. It's definitely totally outside of what we have been doing, but I think because Right Start has created such a strong sense with number sense, doing pencil to paper math is really where we are headed now.
I got my ears pierced.
All right, so I'm excited to talk, give you guys like more update videos on how that program works for us. Fingers crossed it is a good choice. One other math supplement that I haven't mentioned that we're actually going to bring in for third grade. I had mentioned that we used Simply Charlotte Mason Arithmetic Book 1 in first grade, and I used that in tandem with Right Start Level A. I haven't used Book 2, but we are going to be bringing in Book 3 for third grade. So Math Mammoth is a fantastic program, very pencil to paper, right? It's not super heavy with word problems, and of course it's not heavy with manipulatives. So the cool thing about Simply Charlotte Mason is that it is super heavy on the word problems. It's just this gorgeous little book, and you sit with your kid and you grab some manipulatives or some change, and you just talk about math. You do these word problems. They get to have something that's a little hands-on, and I think that it'll be a really great way to break up our Math Mammoth lessons, which do look pretty intensive sometimes. This will be a nice way to maybe once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, we'll grab our Simply Charlotte Mason book and change up math just a little bit. So on a final note, I just want to kind of touch on a revelation that I think I had in terms of Math with Confidence and All About Reading. I really just think it's important to mention, like, Math with Confidence and All About Reading were never on my radar. And while I have gotten incredible ideas and resources from consuming YouTube homeschool content, I think that I was swayed in the direction of these popular programs because of how much I was consuming of YouTube homeschool content. And I consume a lot. I really do. But listen, now that we're really coming full circle with Charlotte Mason, especially with reading, now that I see like where my daughter has landed with her reading and realizing that like my instincts were always on point, and my instincts were on point with math too. Right Start and Simply Charlotte Mason were super strong programs for us. To then like really question where we had started with math and reading as we're a couple years deep into it, I think really only stems from the fact that I was watching too much stuff and seeing these super popular programs get talked about constantly and how great they are. And I do believe that they are great, and I believe that they've worked for a ton of families. But they were never on my radar. Like my instincts were always leading me more to Charlotte Mason style reading and math, and also manipulative, heavy number sense, very straightforward math that I think is just really intentional and intelligent and very well done. These are programs I have a lot of respect for so far, and I need to just continue to listen to myself and tune into my own principles and my own teaching style and my children's learning style and my connection with my kids, and not get swayed or caught up in what everybody else is using. So that's just like a little message that I wanted to impart with you guys, and encourage you to continue listening to your own instincts and try not to get caught up in the popularity of other programs if they are not really resonating with you. All right, guys, I hope you're having a great summer, and I will see you in my next video.